The Throne of Stars was the largest ship in the Valorian Empire. It was 5 kilometers long and carried over 10,000 crew members. The ship had traveled across the galaxy for hundreds of years, and nothing had ever surprised it. Until today, High Sensor Officer Cathrell sat at his station on the command deck. His 4 eyes watched dozens of screens at once. This was his job. He looked for things that did not belong. He had done this work for 60 years, and he had never seen anything strange. The Valorian Empire knew everything about this part of space. They had maps of every star, every planet, and every ship that flew between them. But now something was wrong. A small dot appeared on his screen. It was far away, at the very edge of their territory. Cathrell leaned forward. The dot was moving. It was a ship. But when he tried to scan it, his equipment gave him nothing. No energy readings, no heat signature, no identification code. The ship was there and then it was gone. Cathrell blinked all 4 of his eyes. He ran the scan again. Nothing. The space where the ship had been was empty now. He thought about staying quiet. Maybe his equipment was broken. Maybe he was tired and seeing things. But Cathrell had not survived 60 years by ignoring strange events. He stood up and walked to the center of the command deck. Fleet Commander Dornvex was a tall and powerful Valorian. His gray skin was marked with scars from many battles. He had commanded the Throne of Stars for 30 years. He did not like interruptions. "What is it?" Dornvex asked. His voice was deep and cold. "Commander, I detected something unusual," Cathrell said. He kept his voice calm. A ship appeared at the edge of Sector 7. It had no energy signature, no identification. Then it vanished. Dornvex stared at him. "Vanished?" "Yes, Commander. It disappeared from my screens completely." The fleet commander was quiet for a moment. Then he shook his head. "Your equipment is old, Cathrell. Perhaps it is time to replace it. Or perhaps it is time to replace you." Some officers on the deck laughed quietly. Cathrell felt his face grow warm with shame, but he did not argue. He returned to his station. 3 hours passed. Cathrell watched his screens carefully. He began to think the commander was right. Maybe he had made a mistake. Maybe there was no ship. Then the dot appeared again. This time it was closer. Much closer. It was inside Valorian space now, moving slowly through an empty region between 2 star systems. Cathrell's hands shook as he tried to scan it. Again, there was nothing. The ship was invisible to all his instruments. He could only see it because of the tiny distortion it created in the starlight behind it. The ship stopped moving. It stayed in one place for exactly 12 seconds. Then it vanished again. Cathrell did not hesitate this time. He activated the emergency alert. Red lights flashed across the command deck. Every officer turned to look at him. Fleet Commander Dornvex stormed toward his station. "What are you doing? Why did you trigger the alert?" "It came back," Cathrell said. He pointed at his screen. The ship. It was here, inside our territory. Closer than before. It watched us for 12 seconds, then disappeared. Dornvex looked at the screen. He saw the recording Cathrell had made. The tiny distortion. The way it moved. The way it stopped. The way it vanished like smoke in the wind. For the first time in 30 years. Fleet Commander Dornvex felt something he had almost forgotten. Fear. "Send a message to the High Council," he said quietly. "Tell them we have detected an unknown vessel. Tell them it has no signature in our database. Tell them," he paused, searching for the right words. "Tell them that is no recognized ship, and it moves like a ghost." The message traveled across the Empire at the speed of light. Within hours, it reached the capital world. The High Council gathered in their ancient chamber, a room that had seen 3,000 years of decisions. 5 Valorians sat at the great table. They were the rulers of an empire that stretched across 100 star systems. They had conquered dozens of species. They had never lost a war, but they had also never faced the unknown. "What do we know about this ship?" asked High Counselor Vethena. She was the oldest member, with silver skin and eyes that had seen empires rise and fall. "Nothing," admitted Grand Admiral Kurdan. "It matches no vessel in our records." No species we have encountered has this technology. The ability to hide from our sensors? It should be impossible. Nothing is impossible, Vethana said. We simply have not seen it before. The council debated for hours. Some wanted to ignore the sighting. Others wanted to send the entire fleet. Finally, they reached a decision. We will send a patrol fleet, Vethana declared. 3 cruisers, 10 destroyers. They will find this ghost ship and learn what it is. If it is a threat, they will destroy it. If it is something else, she did not finish the sentence. Far away, in the empty space between stars, the ghost ship drifted silently. Its crew had no idea that an entire empire was now searching for them. They did not know that they had just started something that would change the FD galaxy forever. The hunt was about to begin. The USS Nightfall was small. It was only 200 meters long, with a crew of just 47 people. But it was the most advanced ship humanity had ever built. Captain Danny Reyes stood on the bridge and looked out at the stars. He was 43 years old, with dark hair turning gray at the sides and tired eyes that had seen too many missions. This was supposed to be a simple job. Go out into deep space. Look around. Come back. Nobody expected them to find anything. Humanity had only discovered faster-than-light travel 15 years ago. Before that, they were stuck in their own solar system. Now they could travel to other stars, but they had not gone very far. The galaxy was big, and humans were still new to space travel. The Nightfall was special because of its cloak. Scientists had spent years developing the technology. The ship could bend light around itself and become almost invisible. It could hide its heat, its energy, and its radio signals. To any normal scanner, the Nightfall did not exist. Captain, I am picking up something strange, said Lieutenant Katie Moore. She was the tactical officer. A young woman with short red hair and sharp green eyes. She was the best at her job, which was why she was on this mission. Danny walked over to her station. What do you see? Katie pointed at her screen. Ships. Big ones. They are about to light ours away and moving toward this area. Commander Greg Palmer joined them. He was the first officer, a calm man with a shaved head and a deep voice. Ships out here. We are supposed to be in empty space. That is what I thought too, Katie said. But look at these readings. These are not human ships. The design is completely different, and they are huge. The biggest one is at least 5 kilometers long. Danny felt his heart beat faster. Alien ships. After all these years of wondering if humans were alone in the universe, they had finally found proof. There was other intelligent life out there. How many ships? He asked. I count 13, Katie replied. 3 large cruisers and 10 smaller vessels. They are moving in a search pattern. A search pattern? Greg frowned. What are they searching for? Danny already knew the answer. Us. They must have detected us somehow. Maybe our cloak is not as perfect as we thought? He turned to Ensign Sam Torres, the communications officer. Sam was the youngest member of the crew, only 25 years old. Messy brown hair and glasses that he constantly pushed up his nose, but he was brilliant with languages and patterns. Sam, can you intercept their communications? Sam nodded quickly. I have been trying, Captain. They are using a frequency I have never seen before. The language is completely unknown. It will take time to understand it. Do your best. We need to know what we are dealing with. Danny made a decision. Everyone, listen carefully. We are going to stay cloaked and observe. This is humanity's first contact with alien life. We need to learn as much as we can. Should we not report back to Earth? Greg asked. Not yet. Any transmission could give away our position. We watch and wait. Hours passed. The alien fleet came closer. Dr. Ben Hartley, the science officer, studied their ships from a safe distance. He was an older man with white hair and a gentle face, but his mind was as sharp as anyone's. These ships are far more advanced than ours, Ben reported. Their weapons, their engines, their shields, everything is better. If they find us, we cannot fight them. We would not last 5 minutes. Danny nodded. He had already figured that out. Then we make sure they do not find us. But the aliens were clever. They began to spread out across the region. They dropped sensor probes everywhere. They scanned every piece of rock, every cloud of gas, every empty spot of space. Sam Torres suddenly looked up from his station. "Captain, I am starting to understand their language. It is difficult, but I am making progress." "What are they saying?" Sam listened carefully, his face growing pale. "They are calling us the Ghost. They know something is here. They just cannot see us. And Captain," he swallowed hard, "they are not going to stop searching until they find us." Katie checked her instruments. "They are getting closer. At this rate, they will pass within a few thousand kilometers of our position in about 6 hours." Danny closed his eyes and thought. They were trapped. If they ran, the aliens might detect their engine signature. If they stayed, they might be discovered anyway. There were no good options. "Greg, what do you think?" His first officer shook his head slowly. "I think we should leave. Now, get back to Earth and tell them what we found. This is bigger than our mission. Humanity needs to know we are not alone." Danny agreed. But something stopped him. Curiosity, maybe, or fear. If these aliens were hostile, Earth needed to know exactly what they could do. Running away would not give them that information. "We stay a little longer," he decided. "But prepare the engines for emergency jump. If anything goes wrong, we run." The crew nodded and returned to their work. They were scared. Danny could see it in their faces. But they were also professionals. They would do their jobs far away on Earth. Admiral Lisa Warren was finishing a quiet evening in her office when an alarm suddenly went off. She was the head of the Terran Defense Coalition, and she knew that alarm meant trouble. A distress beacon had been activated. She checked the coordinates and felt her blood go cold. The signal was coming from far beyond explored space, from the USS Nightfall. Lisa stared at the screen for a long moment. Then she picked up her communicator and started making calls. The Nightfall was in danger, and she was not going to leave them out there alone. Sub-Commander Yethra stood on the bridge of her cruiser, the Iron Blade. She was young for her rank, only 40 years old, which was like a teenager in Valorian terms. But she was smart and hungry for success. This mission was her chance to prove herself. Her patrol fleet had been searching for the ghost ship for 2 days now. They had found nothing. The High Council was watching. Fleet Commander Dornvex was watching. Everyone was watching, and Yethra had nothing to show them. She walked to the main screen and stared at the empty space. The ghost was out there somewhere. She could feel it, but traditional search methods were not working. The ship was invisible. It left no trail. It made no sound. Yethra needed a new idea. "Weapons officer," she called out. "Load the concussive charges." Her crew looked at her with confusion. Concussive charges were used to break apart asteroids, not to find ships. But Yethra had a plan. "Cannot see the ghost," she explained. "Our sensors cannot find it, but it still has to exist in physical space. It still has to move. So we make it move." She ordered the fleet to spread out in a wide grid. Then she gave the command. The ships began to fire concussive charges into empty space. The explosions created massive shock waves that traveled in all directions. Anything in the area would be pushed by the force. On the Nightfall, the crew felt the first explosion. The ship shook hard. Alarms went off. Katie Moore grabbed her console to stop herself from falling. "What was that?" Dr. Ben Hartley checked his instruments. Some kind of explosion. Not aimed at us directly, but close. Very close. Another explosion hit them. Then another. The Nightfall was thrown around like a small boat in a storm. Systems flickered. Lights went on and off. The crew held on to anything they could find. "They are bombing empty space," Danny realized. "They cannot see us, so they are trying to flush us out." "It is working," Katie said. Her voice was strained. "Our cloak is having trouble with all the energy interference. If they keep this up, we might become visible." Greg Palmer was already at the helm. "I can try to move us out of the blast zone, but any engine use might show up on their sensors." Danny had to make a choice. Stay still and risk the cloak failing, or move and risk being detected anyway. Neither option was good. Move us slowly, he ordered. Minimum power. Try to slip between the explosions. Greg nodded and began to guide the ship carefully through the chaos. The nightfall moved like a shadow, turning and dodging the shockwaves. For a while, it seemed to work. Then a charge exploded right next to them. The blast was huge. The nightfall spun wildly. Consoles exploded in showers of sparks. The lights went out completely. For a terrible moment, Danny thought they were dead. Emergency power kicked in. Red lights filled the bridge. Ben Hartley shouted from his station. We have damage on multiple decks. Hull breach in Section 4. 3 crew members injured. What about the cloak? Danny asked. Katie checked her readings. Her face was grim. The cloak is still working, but it is weak. One more hit like that, and it will fail completely. At that same moment, the Nightfall's automatic distress beacon activated. The damage had triggered it. A tiny signal shot out into space. Traveling toward Earth at faster than light speed, Danny did not even know the beacon had gone off. He was too busy trying to keep his ship in one piece. Far away, Admiral Lisa Warren received the signal. She was in the command center of Earth's defense network, surrounded by officers and screens. The distress beacon told her 2 things. First, the Nightfall was in trouble. Second, it was very far from home. Where exactly are they? She asked her aide. A young officer named Peter Grant checked the coordinates. They are in uncharted space, Admiral. Way beyond our borders. We have no idea what is out there. Then we go find out. Lisa turned to face her team. I want a rescue fleet assembled within 6 hours. 3 frigates and the carrier Horizon. Full weapons, full stealth capability. We are going to get our people back. Some officers looked worried. Admiral, we do not know what we are sending our ships into. It could be a trap. It could be a hostile alien force. I know, Lisa said calmly. That is why I'm going myself. The room went quiet. An admiral did not usually go on rescue missions. It was too dangerous. But Lisa Warren had not become the head of Earth's defense by staying safe. She believed in leading from the front. Prepare the ships, she ordered. We leave in 6 hours. Back in alien space, Subcommander Yethra watched her screens with frustration. The bombing had not revealed the ghost. She was starting to wonder if it was even real. Subcommander, look at this. One of her officers pointed to a screen. We picked up something during the last round of explosions. It was brief, but there was a distortion. Here. Yethra studied the data. The officer was right. For just a second, something had rippled in space. Something solid. Something real. The ghost is there, she said softly. A smile spread across her face. It is there, and we heard it. Increase the bombing in that area. Tighter pattern. More charges. We are going to crack this ghost open. On the Nightfall, Danny watched the alien fleet change direction. The ships were coming toward them now. The explosions were getting closer together. They know where we are, Katie said. Maybe not exactly, but they have a general idea. Danny looked at his tired crew. They had been through so much already. Now the enemy was closing in, and help was far away. He did not know that help was coming. He did not know that Admiral Warren was already preparing to cross the stars to save them. All he knew was that his ship was hurt. His people were scared and the hunters were getting closer. Hold on, he told his crew. Just hold on a little longer. He hoped that would be enough. The final explosion was the worst one yet. It hit the Nightfall directly. The entire ship screamed with the sound of twisting metal. Katie Moore was thrown from her chair and hit the floor hard. Greg Palmer crashed into the navigation console. Danny grabbed the captain's chair, held on as the world spun around him. Then everything went quiet. The red emergency lights flickered. Smoke filled the air. Danny coughed and pulled himself up. Report, he called out. Is everyone alive? One by one, his crew responded. They were hurt, bruised, and scared, but they were alive. Danny felt relief wash over him, but it did not last long. Captain Katie said. Her voice was hollow. The cloak is down. It is completely offline. Danny looked at the main screen. He could see the alien ships clearly now, and he knew they could see him too. Sub-Commander Yethra stared at her screen in shock. The ghost had appeared. One moment there was empty space, and the next moment there was a ship. A small ship. A strange ship, unlike anything she had ever seen. "There it is," she whispered. "The ghost is real." Her crew erupted in excited chatter. They had done it. They had found the unknown vessel. Yethra raised her hand for silence. "Scan it. I want to know everything about that ship." The scan results came back quickly. The ship was small and badly damaged. Its weapons were primitive by Valorian standards. Its shields were weak. It was no threat at all, but its technology was fascinating. The cloak that had hidden it was unlike anything in Valorian science. How had such a small, weak ship developed something so advanced? "Open a communication channel," Yethra ordered. "Tell them to surrender. Tell them they will not be harmed if they cooperate." On the nightfall, Sam Torres picked up the alien transmission. He had been working on their language for days now, and he understood most of it. His face went pale as he listened. "They want us to surrender," he told Danny. "They say they will not hurt us if we give up." Katie shook her head. "We cannot trust them. We do not know anything about these aliens. They could be lying. We cannot fight them either," Greg pointed out. "Look at their ships. We would not survive 1 minute in a battle." Danny looked at his crew. They were waiting for him to decide, but he did not know what to do. Surrender meant capture. It meant being prisoners of an alien empire. It meant maybe never seeing Earth again. But fighting meant death. "How long until they reach us?" he asked. Katie checked her instruments. "About 20 minutes at their current speed." 20 minutes. That was all the time he had. Sam suddenly spoke up. "Captain, I have an idea. I have been studying their language. I think I can talk to them. Maybe we can negotiate. Maybe we can make them understand that we are not enemies." Danny looked at the young ensign. It was a crazy idea, but crazy was all they had left. "Do it," he said. "Try to talk to them." Sam worked quickly. He put together a message using everything he had learned about the alien language. His hands shook as he typed. This was the most important thing he had ever done in his life. Finally, he was ready. He sent the message out into space. "We are not enemies. We are explorers. We seek only peace." On the iron blade, Yethra received the transmission. She stared at it in confusion. The ghost was talking to her. It was speaking Valorian. Badly, yes. The words were wrong, and the grammar was broken. But it was clearly trying to communicate. In 3,000 years of Valorian expansion, this had never happened. Conquered races did not talk. They begged. They screamed. They fought and died. But they never introduced themselves. They never claimed to be explorers. They never asked for peace. Yethra did not know how to respond. "Sub-Commander, what are your orders?" Her weapons officer asked. "Should we destroy them?" "No." Yethra held up her hand. "Not yet. I need to speak with the High Council. This is different." She opened a direct link to the capital world. The faces of the 5 High Counselors appeared on her screen. She reported everything. The ghost ship, its strange technology, its crew, and most importantly, its message. High Counselor Vethana listened carefully. When Yethra finished, the old Valorian was quiet for a long moment. "New species," she said finally. "One that hides like ghosts and speaks like diplomats. This is unprecedented. Sub-Commander, you will capture this ship and its crew. Bring them to the capital. We must study them. We must understand what they are." "Understood, Counselor. And if they resist, then destroy them. But try to take them alive. Dead subjects tell us nothing." Yethra closed the link and gave orders to her fleet. The ships began to move forward, surrounding the nightfall from all sides. Danny watched the enemy close in. There was nowhere to run. His ship was crippled. His cloak was gone. In a few minutes, they would either be prisoners or dead. Then, something impossible happened. Space tore open behind the Valorian fleet. 4 ships appeared out of nowhere. human ships, the 3 frigates, and the carrier Horizon. All decloaking at the same moment, Admiral Lisa Warren's voice came over every frequency. Valorian vessels. This is Admiral Lisa Warren of the Terran Defense Coalition. You are surrounding our ship and our people. Stand down immediately. Sam Torres had sent her the translation data during the chaos. Lisa's message was broadcast in perfect Valorian. Yethra spun around. More ghost ships. An entire fleet of them. Where had they come from? How had they gotten past her sensors? She looked at the human vessels. They were not as big as her cruisers. They were not as heavily armed. But they had appeared from nothing, just like the first ghost. And now they had her fleet surrounded, for the first time in her life. Subcommander Yethra realized she might lose. On the nightfall, the crew stared at the screen in amazement. They were not alone anymore. Earth had come for them. Danny felt tears in his eyes. He blinked them away and opened a channel to the horizon. Admiral Warren, I have never been happier to see anyone in my life. Lisa's voice came back, warm but professional. Save the thanks for later, Captain. We still have a situation to handle. She was right. The Valorians had not surrendered yet. Their ships were still armed and ready. One wrong move could start a war. Everything depended on what happened next. The 2 fleets faced each other in the cold silence of space. On one side, the Valorian patrol fleet. 13 ships with weapons that could destroy planets. 3,000 years of military power and experience behind them. They had never lost a battle. They had never retreated. On the other side, 4 human ships and 1 damaged cruiser. 40 years of space travel experience. Weapons that the Valorians considered primitive. But they had something else. Something the Valorians did not understand yet. They had courage. And they had each other. Admiral Lisa Warren stood on the bridge of the horizon. She was calm. She had been in difficult situations before, though never anything like this. First contact with an alien civilization, the survival of her people on the line. The future of humanity hanging in the balance. No pressure at all. Admiral, her tactical officer, reported the Valorian ships are powering up their weapons. They have not fired yet, but they are ready. Lisa nodded. Keep our weapons ready too. But do not fire unless I give the order. We are not here to start a war. On the Iron Blade, Subcommander Yethra was facing the hardest decision of her career. Her orders were clear. Capture the ghost ship and its crew. But now, there were more ghost ships. 4 of them. Her fleet was surrounded. She could still win. Her ships were more powerful. Her weapons were stronger. In a straight fight, the Valorians would probably destroy the human fleet, but probably was not certainly. And those human ships had appeared from nowhere. They had stealth technology that matched or exceeded the first ghost. What else might they have? What other surprises were waiting? The High Council was watching through her live feed. Millions of Valorians were watching too. If she attacked and won, she would be a hero. If she attacked and lost, the Empire would face something it had not experienced in 3,000 years. Defeat, Admiral Warren broadcast another message. This time, she spoke not just to Yethra, but to the entire Valorian Empire. People of the Valorian Empire, I am Admiral Lisa Warren. I represent a species called humanity. We come from a small planet far from here. We have only been traveling among the stars for a short time. We are not your enemies. We did not come here looking for war. She paused, letting her words sink in. Our ship entered your space by accident. We did not know this region was claimed. When your forces detected us, we hid because we did not know if you were friendly or hostile. We meant no insult. We meant no harm. On the Valorian capital world, the High Council listened to the human admiral's speech. High Counselor Vethana leaned forward in her seat. This was not how conquered species spoke. This was not how anyone spoke to the Valorian Empire. There was no fear in the human's voice. No desperation. Just calm, strength, and honest words. However, Lisa continued, we will not allow our people to be captured or harmed. The crew of the Nightfall are under my protection. If your ships attack them, my ships will respond. We may be small. We may be new. But we will fight for our own. We will always fight for our own. The message was clear. Humanity was offering peace, but they were not begging for it. They were standing as equals, not as subjects. Sub-Commander Yethra found herself impressed despite her training. These humans had courage. They faced a superior force without flinching. In another life, they might have made good Valorians. Her weapons officer spoke urgently. Sub-Commander, please give the order to attack. We can destroy them. Yethra raised her hand. Wait, she thought about everything she had seen. The ghost ship that hid for days under the nose of the greatest empire in the galaxy. The humans who tried to communicate instead of fight. The rescue fleet that came across the stars for just 47 people. What kind of species risked war to save such a small number? What kind of species valued individual lives so much? The High Council spoke through her communicator. It was Fleet Commander Dornvax, his voice heavy. Sub-Commander, the Council has made a decision. You are ordered to stand down. Yethra felt a wave of shock. Stand down? But Commander, we have them surrounded. We can... The Council has decided, Dornvax repeated. These humans have shown abilities we did not expect. Their stealth technology alone is worth studying. But more than that, they have shown something else. Something the Empire has not seen in a long time. He paused. They have shown that they cannot be intimidated. A species like that is dangerous. Not because of their weapons, but because of their spirit. The Council believes it is better to learn more about them before we decide if they are enemies or something else. Yethra understood. The Empire was not afraid of losing a battle. The Empire was afraid of something far worse. A long and bloody war against an enemy that would never give up. Against ghosts who could appear and disappear at will. Against a species that would cross the galaxy to save one ship. Understood, Commander. Iron Blade standing down, she gave the order. One by one, the Valorian ships powered down their weapons and pulled back. The circle around the human fleet opened. On the nightfall, the crew watched in disbelief as the enemy retreated. Katie Moore laughed out loud. Greg Palmer slapped the navigation console. Even Dr. Ben Hartley, usually so calm, had a huge smile on his face. Danny Reyes just stared at the screen, unable to believe what had happened. They were alive. They were safe. They were going home. The Horizon moved forward and docked with the nightfall. Engineering teams came aboard to help with repairs. Medical teams treated the wounded. Admiral Warren herself walked onto the damaged bridge. Danny saluted her. Admiral, thank you. You saved all of us. Lisa looked around at the battered ship and its exhausted crew. You saved yourselves, Captain. You survived long enough for us to find you. That took courage. She turned to Sam Torres, who was still sitting at his communications station, looking overwhelmed. And you, Ensign. Your translation work made this whole thing possible. Without that, we would be shooting at each other right now instead of talking. Hey, Sam blushed. I just did my job, Admiral. You did more than that, Lisa smiled. You helped introduce humanity to the galaxy. Not bad for your first deep space mission. Before the human fleet departed, Admiral Warren sent one final message to the Valorian Empire. We came in peace. We leave in peace. But know this. Humanity protects its own. We are no longer ghosts in your space. We are a new power in this galaxy, and we are here to stay. The human ships activated their cloaks and vanished from Valorian sensors one by one. The last thing the Empire saw was the Nightfall, battered and scarred, but still flying, disappearing into the darkness like the ghost it had always been, on the capital world. High Counselor Vethana sat alone in the council chamber. She looked at the empty space where the human fleet had been. For 3,000 years, the Valorian Empire had believed it was the greatest power in the galaxy. Now, they knew the truth. They were not alone. And the ghost species, these humans, were unlike anything they had ever faced. She did not know if humanity would be a friend or an enemy in the years to come. But she knew one thing for certain. The galaxy had just changed forever. And somewhere in the stars, 47 humans flew home, carrying with them the knowledge that would reshape history. They had met an empire. They had stood their ground, and they had lived to tell the story. It was only the beginning.